Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me for Spring Downtown Update. We're going to give everyone just a moment to join us from the waiting room and grab a refill on your coffee, and we're going to get started. Oh, it looks like we have lots of people joining us. Yes, glad to see you all this morning. So let's get this kicked off this morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me for the 2021 Downtown Update. This is our spring update. We do this twice a year. And I am just really thrilled to be having this, although it's virtual. We're usually in the Appel Center this morning doing our Downtown Update, but I still have my Appel Center cup. So I feel like I'm sort of there. My name is Elaine Bonneau, and I'm the director of Downtown Inc., part of the York County Economic Alliance. And, you know, really with our Downtown Update, we just want to talk about what's new and next and happening in downtown development, right? And what a crazy year it's been, but we have some exciting updates and developments to share with all of you. Before we get into that, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. We always have to cover that when we're doing these conversations online. If everyone's on mute. So as I said, feel free to have your coffee. And if you have questions or comments about anything that you hear during today's presentation, just drop your comments in the chat. Or put questions in the Q&A. We're going to try to save a little bit of time at the end for Q&A. Normally we're at the Appel Center, we have time for networking. We don't want to lose that opportunity for connectivity. So please put them in the chat and Q&A. And if we have time at the end, we'll field some questions from you to our presenters today. If you're having trouble hearing this or you're transitioning into the car for your commute, do so safely, but we invite you to join us. You can dial in through one of the telephone lines that was in the registration confirmation that you received. So with that, I just want to start out focusing on the positive, right? And the theme for this season's Downtown Update is bright new beginnings. We talked about this a little bit during Give Local York, the light, the bright light shining. And oh, speaking of bright light, how about a round of applause for another great Give Local York this year? Our community in York County just always surprises me, and just so grateful for the generosity year after year for Give Local York. But again, focusing on bright new beginnings, it's been a hard 14 plus months, a difficult road. We're still doing the work, but we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? So I just wanted to share with you, and collectively as a community, what I think have been the silver linings over this past year, and then look ahead at what's on the horizon. So, silver linings of how we adapted, because that's who we are here in York City and in the county. We bend, but we don't break. So, last year, starting in March, taking a lot of our events virtual, whether it was virtual First Fridays, the Downtown Update, our monthly business series to keep our business owners connected and engaged and armed with the resources that they need. Adaptive use of built environment. So outdoor dining, open container that we had last year in 2020 and now returning in 2021 that allows us to use spaces like Cherry Lane, North George Street for alfresco dining. Even the Appel Center moved some of their movies that we were used to having in the Capitol Theater, moved to People's Bank Park. So just creative ways to continue to stay engaged as a community, advancing the way that we do business. Our merchants really had to make the pivot, right? And with marketing and use of contactless payment systems, curbside, takeout, and more. You see here a picture of one of our safe dining options, and on downtownyorkpa.com, we still continue to maintain a full list of all of our downtown restaurants that have curbside, takeout, outdoor dining, so that we continue to use our space as best we can to gather safely. Connecting businesses with funding and recovery resources. We'll talk a little bit more about what that looked like. And also people with jobs. We introduced a virtual career fair that we hold weekly, and you can find information about that on the York County Economic Alliance website, ycapa.org. And, you know, starting during the pandemic and as we move towards to reopening and recovery, continuing to connect businesses with resources and people with jobs. So let's talk about what's on the horizon. So as we look forward again at that light at the end of the tunnel, we're going to continue to advance York City's community and economic development priorities. At the last downtown update in fall, we introduced the Economic Action Plan, and that is the 10-year plan for the county, and also looking at what those implications are at a city level and in downtown. So we're going to continue to advance priority development projects as it's related to that plan. If you'd like to view the plan again, the core components and strategic goals, you can go to yorkcountyeap.org, and Casey just dropped that in the chat, so you can take a look there. Also, we have relaunched our Economic Development Committee as part of Downtown Inc.'s Board of Directors, led by Jules Tolbert, our chair, and a lot of great work happening in that committee. You can also connect with Jules and with that committee through our website, downtownyorkpa.com. Bloom Grants. So what you see on the screen here are 2020 Downtown Bloom Grant recipients, $115,000 awarded to 30 businesses. That's just one of the Bloom Grant programs that we have. There's Trail Towns, countywide. Again, just continuing to support businesses and support the diversity of businesses in our community and create a safe and welcoming, inclusive environment for all, both residents and visitors. And, you know, as we do this, what we've seen in the past and what we carry forward is continuing to always ask what if and explore other ways that we can create solutions and work together in our community to make things happen. And speaking of making things happening, guess what? Baseball is back. A full season of York Revolution baseball at Peoples Bank Park. So I'm excited about opening day coming up this Friday on the 28th. Eric Menzer is going to tell you more about this, but I just have to share with you, somehow, you know those games where they wrap you in bubble wrap and then they have two opponents and then you run at each other head on in bubble wrap until one of you bounces into oblivion. So yeah, I'm doing that on Friday and I'm going up against Jolene Tolbert. Jolene, how did you talk me into this? But it's going to be a lot of fun. And why am I doing this at my age? I don't know. Will I break something? Maybe, because Jolene is going to crush me. But you know what? It's for a good cause. And the good cause is your entertainment, basically, because I think we all need a laugh. And even if that laugh is at my expense. So Eric will tell you more about that later. But it is time to kick our presentation into high gear. We have a great lineup of speakers today and lots to cover. So we're going to jump right in to kick off the updates of all things York City. I'd like to bring to the screen Jean Dragonowski. Jean is the president and CEO of Traditions Bank, formerly York Traditions Bank. Jean and Traditions Bank have been longtime supporters of Downtown Inc. and the Downtown Update event, and we thank you for that. And I think we all can agree that we're quite fortunate, Jean, to have such a community-focused bank right here in the heart of downtown York. Traditions Bank's vision statement really says it all, that every person, every business, every community that you interact with finds success in part because of the mark that you've made on people's finances and lives. They've made it their goal at Traditions Bank to make sure all of the people of York City find success and are willing to work together to make that a reality. Gene has held leading roles at Traditions Bank for more than a decade, and I have no doubt that he'll continue to provide remarkable service and support to our community in the coming years. So with that, Gene, thank you. Welcome, Traditions Bank, for your support and for making this happen. And I'll turn it over to Gene.
Thanks, Elaine. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with you today. Those who are familiar with our organization know we take our role as a local independent community bank seriously. We are committed to making a difference for those we serve. It's a mindset and position we want to maintain indefinitely. To remain independent means that we can't sit still. We must continue to grow and to grow responsibly. As a part of our plan for ongoing sustainable growth, we needed to assess our brand. This effort started a year and a half ago, prior to the pandemic, when we made the decision to bring on a partner, Financial Marketing Solutions, or FMS, of Franklin, Tennessee. FMS is a full-service branding and strategic marketing agency that has worked exclusively with community banks around the country, and most importantly, they are a great cultural fit for us. FMS conducted an in-depth discovery process to learn how our bank is perceived, both internally and in the marketplace, and how to move forward in a way that articulates our existing values, philosophy, mission, and promise. They conducted thorough meetings and interviews with our bank leadership and associates, as well as held a dozen focus groups with customers and non-customers in York, Hanover, and Lancaster. This mark and identity served the bank well for years and is loved by many. However, we found that for most people, it no longer effectively represents the brand of the bank. Some of the feedback that we were receiving was the logo seems outdated. It's confusing because, contrary to what we are, the wheat conveys that we are an agricultural bank, and it simply did not translate well or stand out in digital media. During this process, we made the decision to change our name to Traditions Bank. It was a unanimous decision by our leadership and board, but not one we took lightly. We did it to be inclusive of everyone we serve now and in the future. So some of you might be thinking, did they consider remaining York Traditions Bank in York while branding as Hanover Traditions Bank in Hanover, Lancaster Traditions Bank in Lancaster, and so on? Certainly, we certainly did. Unfortunately, that creates confusion, division, internal competition, and other dysfunction. Our goal is to create unity. I need to emphasize that although we no longer have York in our name, it doesn't mean we're going to be any less committed to York. Quite the contrary, by simplifying our name, we'll break down regional barriers and bring our value proposition to more and more individuals and businesses. We also learned through this process that our brand isn't a logo or even a name. It's our people and the care they give to our customers and community. FMS transcribed the comments from the focus group interviews. This list shows, in order, the words used most frequently. Our brand is strong and we have a rich tradition of relationships. We just needed a way to bring our culture and core values to life, to communicate them in an understandable way that adds meaning and emotion. Since our brand is about people, we concentrated on some of the basic needs that all people seek. At the very top is the need to feel significant, to make an impact, to make your mark. This became our brand language and is now woven into our promise, mission, and vision. Our brand story is an internal rally cry that ignites our team. It's also a call to action and inspiration for our customers and our communities. We're here to help you succeed. It is our sole purpose. Our business may be banking, but our heart is people. This is personal for us because we live here too. Helping our friends and neighbors make their mark in the world is how we make ours. Traditions Bank, make your mark. Now to the logo. It's just a simple cube. That's all I saw the first time, but it's really so much more. We like this logo because first, it's tied to the history of the organization. Our new logo consists of 6 rectangular shapes representing the 6 original core values upon which we were founded. Second, it's visually appealing and functional. The clean and simple shape works well on digital channels, unlike the small pieces of wheat in our previous logo, which are a graphic arts challenge. And third, it's uniquely connected to us, so we can take real ownership of the mark. If you look closely, you'll see a T in the left side of the shape for traditions. You'll see a B to the right for bank. But in the very middle, anchoring it all, is a large Y, of course, for York County, which will always be central to who we are. York is embedded in our logo to honor our roots. Our new logo family works together to reinforce the brand, recognizing that each business line is part of Traditions Bank. By now, you may have seen some of our marketing and advertising externally promoting our new brand, but it's equally important to weave this brand into our internal culture. Our associates were the first to see and experience this new name and look. We held a virtual and interactive all associates meeting on April 6th with about 170 employees, board members, and retirees. The program was hosted by myself and Mike Kochenauer, our founder and chairman. One of the first things we talked about was our core values. They were created 20 years ago before the bank ever opened its doors. They are the basis of everything we do and every decision we make. FMS said they expected to hear about the core values from the leadership team, of course, but they were amazed at how associates, customers, and even non-customers mentioned them in the focus groups when discussing what made us unique. These same 6 core values remain, but we found a way to communicate them in a more clear and memorable way. RESPECT is our acronym to easily recall the now 7 core values. They are real relationships, exquisite experiences, strong performance, personal growth, equity and inclusion, community commitment, and true teamwork. This video was played as part of the unveiling to our associates to really encapsulate our new brand. To wrap up, I'd like to share it with you now. keeping my fingers crossed that that was going to play successfully. It's always a little bit of a risk, but it worked out. So next up, as soon as we catch up on slides here, next up, it's going to keep playing. Next up, I'm pleased to introduce Colin Holder of the Parliament Arts Organization. We're all looking forward to getting back to the many fun community events in downtown York, and we're anxious to hear an update on what activities we can expect to see returning in the coming months. As the Executive Director of the Parliament, Colin has led his team in successfully producing programs and events in the Royal Square district of York City. He is an advocate for creative professionals. He has transformed vacant offices and storefronts in our community into studios, galleries, and boutiques. And he's played an integral role in redefining York City as a central area for arts and culture. Thank you, Colin, for making your mark in our community. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Gene, and good morning. I do want to start with just a little bit about what the Parliament is. We've changed so much over the last couple of years, and we have so much going on that I want to make sure that you all know what some of those things are. Each first Friday, you can catch us with a new show. We have live talent. We have live interactive art. In the Royal Square District. We're located at 116 East King Street. Please come visit us. We have open mic nights. We have a corner concert series that we will start back in just a few weeks. We offer figure drawing classes for artists every Wednesday at a low cost. We do various projects within the Royal Square District that include beautification projects. If you've seen any of the flower pots going down the street, if you see murals popping up around the neighborhood, those are things that we help produce. We're really proud of those things, but we also are culture creators through the events that we produce. These events include Mother's Day Street Fair, Box Lunch Review, which if you've been in Cherry Lane the last couple of weeks, you've been able to see and hear live music every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 to 1. That's us. We produce York's largest one-day music festival, King Street Jam. We are super excited to announce the lineup soon. Save the date for that, September 11. It takes over the whole entire Royal Square District, and it's an event you do not want to miss. We also produce a new event called the Parliament Soiree, which helps us pay for all of our other events. It's a black tie fundraiser that will happen in August this year. So please, if you can, join us for that. It's going to be awesome. Light Up York, where we traditionally light the Christmas tree right in the square, and then New Year's Eve. But one of our largest events and what I'm going to tell you about today is YorkFest. YorkFest, we are pumping a lot of investment into to make this the best that it can be. We're including quite a few new elements this year. First and foremost, we're adding an international food area. This is to highlight the diversity in our own community, but also showcase diversity to our attendees. It's going to be an exciting time as we are also working with a bunch of different partners. The partners are including everyone from Creative York, who we could not do this alone by ourselves without them. They are producing all of our juried art exhibitions. This includes both the adult juried arts exhibition and the children's juried arts exhibition. A lot of work goes in behind the scenes for an event like this, and we're grateful for their partnership. We are also about to announce our local featured artist, and new to this year, our national featured artist. The reason we're bringing in a national feature is to try to drive additional foot traffic for the art vendors that are actually setting up with their fine art exhibitions themselves. And our goal is to showcase what downtown activities we have available and what downtown businesses we have available just right up the street, as all of this is happening right along the Heritage Rail Trail. We have signage being made. We have arrow directions being made to try to drive people right up into the heart of downtown as these events are taking place. YorkFest is also a big festival to celebrate arts all weekend. There's a lot going on this weekend, which includes the Cigar Box Festival. The Appel Center is going to be doing something wonderful. And we, of course, will be producing these events and side with partners that we've created. So as a part of this partnership, the first one that I want to mention is Goosa World Music Festival. Gooser World Music Festival is a key part of what we're trying to do with this event to bring in international culture. We're working hand in hand with Consulate's office to actually invite featured music from featured nations. The nations we're working closely with right now are France, Kenya, Japan, India, and the Dominican Republic. There is no method to the madness of how we chose those nations. We reached out to consulates offices, and they were the first ones to respond about wanting to help us produce an event in our city. So what that means is they're going to hopefully be there the day of to actually introduce the talent from their nation that's representing their nation that day. As consulates come, there'll be flag ceremonies, which will be a really cool thing for York. And we hope that we have tons of attendees coming to this event. This is the dream of Victoria, who is in the top photo there. We're helping her dream continue. It's a festival that is simply based off of world music, and it's a wonderful concept. And we are so honored that she has allowed us to partner with her to help produce this event. The next thing I want to talk to you about that's a new element is also something that is a dream of someone who made this happen, Robert Godfrey and a group of people right downtown. They established Plein Air York. Plein Air York is something that is really gets to showcase what our city is through an artist's eye. There are painters that come from a vast majority of York, but also different regions, Baltimore, come up from Virginia, some come from DC, but they literally pop up around our community and paint the community the way they see it. And if you've not had an opportunity to honestly see what some of these paintings look like, it's jaw-dropping. It's amazing the perspectives that an artist gets to take. And sometimes as we pass things frequently, we forget how beautiful they are, but it's a wonderful reminder of that. So Plein Air York will be happening during York Fest. And what that means for York Fest is it's expanding from the Heritage Rail Trail. You will see artists in the Continental Square. You will see them in Royal Square District. You will see them in the Market District. You'll see them in WeCo, all happening during this weekend to really showcase what we're doing with York Fest, but it also will help drive additional foot traffic to York Fest and back to downtown businesses with having these artists spread throughout our whole community. So it's an exciting thing for us. We are, thank you, Robert, for allowing the Parliament to help see your vision through. And this is just a new element that we are extremely excited about. Another element that we're adding new this year, and this is a big one. This is a vision that the Parliament has always held close to heart, and it's adding murals around our community. So murals are a topic of conversation constantly, and it's something that we're really proud of, the ones that are in the Royal Square District. Our murals in the Royal Square District, they do not have a timeline. These are murals that are not going to be there for forever. We know that. But it's something that if you have not had the opportunity to come to the Royal Square District and to actually see all of the murals that we have around, you have missed something amazing. I invite you, please come check them out. But what we're doing this year with York's murals is we're actually expanding them into different areas that we don't typically work in. So you can expect to see them in WeCo. You can expect to see them maybe along the rail trail. We will announce the location soon. We are actively seeking artists. The Cultural Alliance just did a wonderful call for art for us. Thank you so much, which we're actually seeking artists. And we are absolutely looking for York artists if we can find anyone who would like to participate. If you're interested in this, you can just email me at info@parliamentyork.org and I will connect you to the right people where you can get an application in your hand to make this happen. But we are adding 5 new murals this year. We're extremely excited about it. This whole event series is York Fest, but it is a major investment for our organization. So this event as a whole will cost us around $115,000. So we are seeking sponsorships. There are tons of corporate volunteer opportunities. If your business would like to get involved into downtown events, we have numerous opportunities for you, and we do hope that you'll reach out to us so we can make those happen. There is some new and exciting things happening in the Royal Square District, not just to talk about murals, but soon there will be a new place where you can produce your own event. The Royal Square Gardens will open soon. It's a 200 capacity venue that will be managed by the JDK Group. If you've ever done anything with the JDK Group at the Bond, you can expect the same caliber service. But yeah, this is going to be beautiful. There's some more images of this. And we hope that you will join us during YorkFest, August 28th, 29th, 2021, right on the Heritage Rail Trail. Another just quick call to action. When you see things about YorkFest, please share them. Again, we are investing a lot in this event to create more foot traffic for downtown and to bring people into our community. So thank you for having me here. And with that, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the Parliament and YorkFest if you did not know enough about us. But something I'm looking forward to, and it's just right down the road from the Royal Square District, is the York Revolution at People's Bank Park opening back up. As a fan, I'm anxious to get back to the stadium for the season opener on May 28th. To give us a quick update of what to expect this season, I'm going to turn it over to Eric Minzer, the president of York Revolution. Eric has helped shape our community into what it is today through his civic-minded leadership and strong belief that York City is a great place to live, work, and play. Eric has worked to provide our community with family-friendly activities and experiences that I'm sure we're all ready to get back to. So without further ado, Mr. Minzer.
All right, thanks, Colin. Good morning, everyone, and greetings from People's Bank Park. Now, I could stand here all day and talk about the return of the Revs this weekend after over 600 days without professional baseball in downtown York, but I'm lucky to have a full team of experts to give you a preview of what to expect. So please welcome Diamond Doug and everyone's favorite Fury companion downtown.
Hey fans, Diamond Doug welcoming you back to York Revolution Baseball. We are so excited to have you back at People's Bank Park in 2021, and we thought it's been a little while, so why don't we show you some of the great things you can expect now that baseball is back here in York. Some of these things are things we learned during COVID-19. They were keeping us safe, but hey, it turns out they're safe, convenient, and very useful to our customers. So what we want to do is Downtown and I are going to order some tickets for a game, take you through the whole process. And it starts with the ease and convenience of ordering your tickets right from your computer. Go to YorkRevolution.com, go up to Buy Tickets, select the game you want to visit, you want to come out to see. I'm going to recommend opening day because, hey, it's going to be a blast. You go through the seating bowl, find your seats, click order, and you've got your tickets right on your computer to print out, or even better, order it all from your phone, and then you've got it right in your pocket with you when you get here to People's Bank Park.
Once you get to one of our parking lots for People's Bank Park, whether it's our VIP Brooks Robinson lot or small field, first thing you're going to do is come across one of our Revolution staffers, and as the CDC said, if you're fully vaccinated, just like Downtown and myself, feel free to take off the mask. But if you still need to get the vaccine, as the CDC recommends, please have your mask on when you're interacting with Revolution staffers.
Next up, it's the Shipley Energy Ticket Office, where Revolution staffers will be happy to take care of all your ticketing needs. But again, if you've ordered on your computer and printed out your tickets, or better yet, ordered on your phone, you can skip the line, pass right on by. As you approach the main gates, have your ticket out to give to the ticket taker at the turnstile. Or, again, if you've done it nice and conveniently, and you've got it right on your cell phone, break out your smartphone, show it to the ticket taker to be scanned. It's contactless, perfectly safe, and convenient. Oh, and remember, if you haven't had your vaccine yet, please make sure to put on your mask before you pass through the gates. Here we go.
Of course, our friends at the CDC tell us it's still a good idea to be using hand sanitizer and to be practicing social distance. So along the concourse, you'll see hand sanitizing stations and reminders to keep 6 feet of social distance. After that, one of our friendly Revolution ushers will find you the seat listed on your ticket. Downtown, this is us right here. Of course, one of the other great parts about coming to the ballpark is the terrific food you can get here at People's Bank Park. I don't know about this guy, but I'm hungry. Let's go see what we've got. New this year, it's the convenience and the contactless process of ordering from a self-serve kiosk here at our concession stand. You step up, you hit start order, and then you select which foods you'd like, or if you're downtown, you select them all. Once you're done ordering, you make your payment, we ask for your name and your cell phone number, you sit back down in the seats, and you get a text message when your food is ready. Or, better yet, order right from your seat through the new Fan Food app connected right to our concession stand. And then hopefully we'll celebrate a Revs win, but either way, we're gonna celebrate being back in the game.
All right, thanks, Doug, and thanks, Downtown. We've got a great weekend planned with our opening night honoring frontline workers, fireworks this Saturday, the return of Sunday Fun Day with Catch on the Field and Kids Run the Bases, and finally our salute to military service on Memorial Day. So I hope you'll join us one or more evenings this weekend. The rest of the season features all your family fun and favorites like Star Wars Night, Catter Day, Faith and Family Night, and my personal favorite this year, Seinfeld Night, featuring the game about nothing. Oh, and one more thing, keep your ears open for an announcement any day now about the return of July 4 York to downtown in doubly spectacular fashion, thanks to our friends at Traditions Bank. Now I'm literally going to take off this hat and figuratively put on another one, my hat as chairman of Better York, to speak about a more serious subject, the plague of gun violence in our city, and an effort to help stop it. Now, let me be clear. The members of Better York understand that this is a multifaceted problem requiring a complex and comprehensive response. We have huge admiration for the passion and the leadership that Commissioner Muldrow is bringing to the fight. We took a look at how we at Better York might be able to help, and we decided that after many years of community conversation about the apparent success of the actively monitored camera system in Lancaster, we would take a thorough and professional look and whether that system was financially and technically feasible in York, whether it would actually help solve the problem, and very importantly, whether it is something that the residents of York want. To do that, we hired Montez Parker, CEO of Parker International Security. Montez brings to our community his experience as a United States Air Force police officer, along with his former entrustment of command and control of all air-based law enforcement, fighter jet, and intelligence response forces for the United States national security. Montez's commitment to service extends beyond the York City limits, but it's very, very deep in this community. We're happy to welcome his expertise to this project and to the York Safe Initiative. Montez, take it away.
Thank you, Eric. I greatly appreciate it. So I don't have to do an introduction. Eric did amazing with that. So what I'll do is I'll get right into it with the next slide. So understanding YorkSafeNet, the mission of YorkSafeNet, if it were deemed feasible, is possibly it could possibly be a tool to decrease gun violence by assisting police in investigations involving gun violence. If this would be something that the community wanted, it will be built, owned, and operated by a nonprofit organization. And this is something that we are seeing the community is recommending, actually. And three, it will work in concert with York City Police Department and other law enforcement agencies. Something that happens a good bit, of course, is when you have gun violence in the city of York, you don't have individuals that speak up. So we're hoping that the camera can act in lieu of. That's one of the good causes of cameras. And what I'll do is I'll go into the next slide and we'll just go over some analytics. Over the past 3 months. We've had forums. We've actually had 2 in-person forums. Our next forum will be June 3rd at Bonnie Grum's gym from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can go to the next, last slide, I'm sorry. And then we have also, we should be on the 3rd slide. There we go, support. So we have also done questionnaires, which I'll go over here in a second. We have done community forums, and third, we've just gauged social media interactions, which we've had about 600. So here on this slide, what you'll see is about 67% of individuals would like a camera system in the city of York. They do support it. I'll move on to the next slide. So, and about 78% do not have privacy concerns. They do not have privacy concerns. And this just comes from, of course, the concern of gun violence in the city of York. I'll give you a couple of other stats. I didn't want to really be having on the presentation. Of our questionnaire, 73% of the individuals were residents, 8% were business owners, and 29% work in the city of York. So it is very diverse, and the good thing is that it leans heavy on the residents, and that's both in the questionnaire and community forums. Heavy makeup are residents in the community that are voicing their concerns. Next thing, so we can go to the next slide. It should be there we go. Okay, so I wanted to ensure that we say June 3rd, 5 to 7 p.m. at Bonnie Grimes Gym will be our next community forum. If you have any questions or concerns, I'm going to incorporate our questionnaire into the slide. And please fill out the questionnaire and get it back to us. YorkSafeNet@gmail.com is also our email. If you have any questions or concern or would like to talk to me personally about YorkSafeNet, I am here. So that just about wraps me up here. What I'm going to do is introduce Mike Pritchard. And Mike Pritchard is one of York City's greatest assets is our diversity. I'm sorry, give me 2 seconds. No, that's it. One of York's greatest assets is its diversity, and it is vital that we have outlets of revenue showcases to represent and showcase the achievements of the people that make up our community. Helping to make this a reality, I'm thrilled to welcome, I'm sorry, I apologize. I was introducing the next speaker. I'd like to introduce Mike Pritchard, planner for the Bureau of Permits, Planning, and Zoning for the City of York. Mike has held various planning positions for the York community over the years. He has worked to facilitate, integrate input from our stakeholders to develop goals and objectives for a 20-year comprehensive plan for our city. While managing this large undertaking, Mike also works with prospective developers, investors, entrepreneurs through application and review procedures for various projects within our community. He also recommends action on subdivision and land development proposals, ordinance waiver requests, and zoning appeals. Please help me in welcoming Mike to the program to tell us a little about York City's comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Montez, and thank you to Elaine and to DI for the opportunity to share this work. This morning, I'd like to give you just a brief description of what a comprehensive plan is meant to accomplish, an overview of what the work is that we have already completed, and our path forward. If you can go to the next slide, Casey. A comprehensive plan is a future-facing strategic plan for the next 20 years. They're described in the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code of 1968, and that code outlines the topics that they should cover. Things like housing, economic development, parks and public spaces, transportation, and more. A comprehensive plan is just one tool in a municipality's planning toolbox. They work in tandem with other documents like a municipal's zoning code and the subdivision and land development ordinance or an official map. Further, a successful comprehensive plan interfaces horizontally with plans of neighboring municipalities, as well as vertically, integrating with neighborhoods and master plans, as well as county planning policies, like the recent York County Economic Action Plan that Elaine mentioned. Our plan was last updated in 2009. The state does recommend to update our comprehensive plan every 10 years, so we are right in line with that guidance. As I said, I'd like to move to the work to date to give you an overview of what we've accomplished so far. First and foremost, we have created a steering committee, which is a group of resident volunteers. There are about a dozen of them. And these are people whose names are known in our neighborhoods, but maybe not in the newspaper. They're a cross-section of York in terms of age, gender, race, ethnicity, and tenure in our community. If you could go to the next slide, Casey. In the fall of 2019, we held 10 meetings throughout the city to gather thoughts around what we called a listening tour. And these meetings help us develop our values, our goals, and objectives for the plan. The slide shows our values, which are the lenses through which we can evaluate new projects and proposals over the life of the 20 years of the plan. These values are safety and welfare, equity, stewardship, sustainability, and predictability. You can move to the next slide, Casey. The first goal of the plan is safe and healthy residents, and those objectives under that are improving property conditions, things like achieving compliance with our property maintenance codes and fixing housing units with incomplete plumbing or incomplete kitchens, reducing the trash on the streets, and creating a better system to remedy any disputes between landlords and tenants. Other objectives include ending homelessness in the city, challenging our reputation as an unsafe place, partnering with things like Montez's work. Other objectives are eliminating serious injuries and deaths from vehicle crashes through things like towards zero deaths policy, increasing our access to health services in the city through mental health and behavioral health services, as well as expanding access to affordable primary care providers. And finally, eliminating food insecurity by improving the deliverability of the charitable food network, eliminating food deserts in the city, and expanding healthy food options. Next slide, please. The second goal of the comprehensive plan is prosperous and welcoming neighborhoods. The objective to build wealth within our neighborhoods includes things like increasing the number of people that both live and work in the city, improving our educational attainment, increasing the number of entrepreneurs and locally owned businesses, and increasing the diversity in business ownership within the city. We want to build socially cohesive neighborhoods by making more inclusive third places, things like coffee shops and bookstores. Minimizing the socioeconomic segregation between our neighborhoods, preventing the displacement of residents when development does occur, improving the tenure of our residents and reducing transiency, and building parks and public spaces that provide opportunities for social interactions. Finally, under this goal, we have the objective to ensure that all neighborhoods have complete streets. And that's very nuts and bolts things like improving the street canopy, improving street lighting, providing street furniture, maintaining and funding public art through partnerships with organizations like the Parliament, ensuring adequate parking throughout the city, and expanding our bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. Next slide, please. Our final goal is a sustainable city for future generations. The objectives here are reducing our carbon footprint and our greenhouse gas emissions by transitioning to 100% renewable energy sources and eliminating greenhouse gas emissions. And the other objective here is to provide reliable connections to our neighbors. We know that not everyone is going to live and work in the city of York, even if we want them to. So we need to make sure that there are reliable ways to get to our neighboring communities, not just in York County, but outside. The next slide, please. So during the pandemic, what we've been doing is collecting baseline data. We've been quantifying the problems and the needs that are associated with those goals and objectives. And we've been mapping the existing conditions, as you can see on this slide, which is a current land use map for the Salem Square neighborhood. And each of those colors represents a different type of map, a different type of land use, excuse me. We have these kinds of maps for the entire city of York, and they provide a baseline to continue our conversations moving forward. Next slide, please. So what is the remaining timeline and what is our future work? Next slide, please. In the next few weeks in June, we're going to release a survey of our residents and other stakeholders to gather descriptive data about our neighborhoods. We have the quantitative data from things like the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Census Bureau, but we want to really get qualitative information from our residents and other stakeholders to really round out our baseline information. I want to catch up with that resident volunteer team, and we want to bring back our working groups and talk about the implementation of those objectives by reviewing and finalizing logic models for each of our objectives. A logic model is a individualized who, what, and how for each objective. Next slide, please. In July and August, we're going to do the bulk of the second half of the comprehensive plan, which are visioning sessions in each of our neighborhoods. This will mimic what we did with the listening tour, where we will have multiple meetings throughout the entire city of York. The agenda will include a focus on the future built environment in each neighborhood of our city. We'll talk about things like what are the assets and opportunities in each neighborhood, what's missing in your neighborhood. If residential growth is going to occur in this neighborhood, what types should occur and where? This includes a full spectrum of residential uses, from single-family homes to mixed use and apartments. We'll also talk about expanding commercial and entrepreneurial opportunities throughout the city along the primary corridors of the city. And we'll gauge support for different types of businesses in third places throughout the city of York. Finally, we'll talk about the opportunity to have, if you just had one major project in your neighborhood, what would you do? We also will be speaking with amplifiers, people who can help us spread the word about this work and help us develop these visions. So obviously that will include city council and our boards throughout the city and that group of resident volunteers. But we will also be reaching out to nonprofit partners, our neighborhood associations, our educational partners, our for-profit partners, and our houses of worship. Next slide, please. Finally, in September and October, we will be compiling a draft plan, reporting to council, and having our final formal public comment period before we move to adopting the comprehensive plan. Next slide, please. So as I said, the comprehensive plan is just one tool in our toolbox, and there's parallel work that we'll be undertaking along with this. We'll be updating the zoning ordinance to match the visions that we put forth in the comprehensive plan. We'll be updating our subdivision and land development ordinance, and that will work in tandem with a review of our codes and ordinances by experts in different priorities that have been expressed by our residents. This includes a review by the international organization 8 to 80 Cities, who AARP has funded a review of our public spaces, and they're going to assist us with those visioning sessions in July and August. We will also be undertaking a review through the Universal Design Institute to look at our options that are available in housing. And we're also looking at opportunities for the Incremental Development Alliance, who has previously done work in entrepreneurial development in York. They will also be looking at our codes to figure out ways that we can better expand entrepreneurship opportunities and business development. And finally, we will be continuing this planning and implementation process and refining and updating the work through our committees and through our working groups. Next slide, please. So again, thank you to YCEA and Downtown Inc. for this opportunity to share the work. I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation with all of you. My email address and my phone number on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions and comments that you might have. Montez stole a little bit of my thunder there, but that's okay. As we talk about what our assets and our opportunities are in the city of York, one of our greatest assets is diversity. And it's vital that we have outlets and venues to showcase the achievements of individuals that make up our community. So helping to make this a reality, I'm excited to welcome Jackie Martino Miller to talk with us about an exciting project for York that will highlight our African American community. We're grateful to CA, who offered Jackie her first job in 1979, and 42 years later, Jackie's work with CA continues as she works tirelessly to showcase York's African American community. Today, she is the CEO of Crispus Attucks Charter School and continues to give back to York City through her service to others. Thank you for all that you've done for our community over the years, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that introduction. I feel honored to be here today to be able to share this new project that is in its planning stages at Crispus Attucks York. It is the Crispus Attucks York African American Museum. It's in its planning stages, as I said earlier, and we are estimated to have a museum that contains 3 floors with a lower level and be a little over 19,000 square feet. The museum would be located on our campus across from the entrance to our main building in the 600 block of South Duke Street. Documents have already been stored and people have been donating different pictures and items that they have. We're looking to raise $8 to $10 million. And we are working with Murphy and Diffenhaver architects on the proposed design. The museum will explore and document and showcase the African American story in and impact on York City, as well as the African Americans' important place and contributions to our country's history. Our project will improve the preservation and accessibility of African American history, showcasing its importance to York and America. The importance of history and education, we know our young people need to learn about history, and sharing the rich history of Crispus Attucks York, York City, and the African American community, and building for future generations to learn and understand the history of where they live. Potential themes for the museum and the gathering place are family roots, where there could be family reunions. Also, there would be sharing items like about segregation and slavery and racial and social justice movements, Black art movements, et cetera, et cetera. At this time, I'd like to share with you some slides that I have. Casey, can I get the slides? The first slide is the aerial massing view of the museum. Next slide, please. And then the next slide is a view of the museum looking south. Next slide. The next one is the eye level view from the community center looking southeast. Next slide. And the interior view. This will be the first floor, which would be the exhibition space, where there would be different arts and artifacts that would be displayed there. Can you imagine now the young people and moving around in the different parts of the museum and wearing shirts that say, "I am my ancestors' wildest dreams." Next slide, please. The next slide shows an interior view at events. This would be like an education space, but it could also be used as a family reunion space also. There would be guest speakers there, film series, oral history events. It can also be used as a study room for young people to learn about different events in history. And the next slide is a view of the museum at night, which is a beautiful view. And remember, this museum would be right in our neighborhood. It's accessible for our young people to be able to visit whenever they would like to. We are so excited about the planning stages, and we are hoping that when we do open, that you will be here to visit with us as we give rise to possible. Thank you everyone who joined us today, and I hope you take the time to visit the museum. Elaine, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Jackie. That is fantastic. And I'll start with the first question, which is the timeline for the museum.
Okay, the timeline is we're in our planning stages now. So we would do a design phase, which would be about 9 months before that total duration. And then we would have to go to the bidding phase. And then of course, the construction phase would be like 12 to 15-month duration.
Okay, really exciting project. So happy to see that coming to York City. That is fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us and for sharing that exciting news. So that was a lot of wonderful information about developments and events happening here in the city. There are a few questions that I would just like to field to a couple people on the line. So I may ask you to unmute yourselves and answer questions. Let me start with, I think this is more of a comment than a question, but I will share this with Mike. Let me go, oh, there's lots of questions coming in. I'm going back up the queue. I hear so often that communities want to see a zoning change so small neighborhoods can have commercial blocks instead of shops limited to street corners. Again, not a question, but a comment to share with Mike. A question for Mike Pritchard. Where can we find the quantifiable data from the city comprehensive plan? Is that information available online, Mike?
It's not available online yet, but moving forward, we will have that available online.
Okay, great. Through yorkcities.org. Okay, great. Thank you. A question about the Bloom Grant program that I mentioned a little bit earlier. It has been a huge help to local small businesses. We're always glad to hear that. The question is, are there plans for another round of Bloom Grants? And if so, when will this be? So yes, there is another plan for another round of downtown Bloom Grants. During Give Local York, all of the money that was donated to Downtown Inc. is going right back out in the community in the form of grants to small businesses. We anticipate that starting in early summer. So look for that information on downtownyorkpa.com in late June, I would suspect. And we also just wrapped up the application process for welcoming community grants. And again, that is with the support of Better York, the York County Community Foundation and Powder Mill, with the support of the Cultural Alliance, allowing us to support welcoming and inclusive, diverse events in downtown. So we will be making decisions on the welcoming community grants for this year by June 1st and notifying those organizers. So we're really excited about that as well. And as I said, we'll have press information, we'll post it on Facebook, and also have information on the website when the Downtown Bloom grants open up in early summer. I think we may have made it through all of our questions. So I'll just give a couple other updates. Let's see. So to connect with any of the presenters or receive more information about anything that was presented here, email info@downtownyorkpa.com and we will connect you. If you weren't able to grab those contacts from the chat, we'll make sure that we connect you with the presenters and any information. Please plan to join us for family-friendly entertainment returning to Continental Square for First Friday on June 4th and on the square and all around downtown. Now that the weather is warming up, and we thank the York City Police Department for being a part of that programming, among others. They're going to have Victory, our new therapy dog, and several of the officers will be out. Community engagement, just meeting with residents and visitors. So we're happy about that as well. Looks like another question came in. Let's see here. Is there an advisory committee for the museum? How can the public get involved? That's for Jackie, if you'd like to answer that. While Jackie is muted.
I'm sorry.
No, I apologize. I didn't see, we're still getting questions coming in. So
they can contact our development department at Crispus Attucks.
Okay, is there an easy email for that? Otherwise, I'll post, we can post it in the chat.
Yes, I will post it in the chat, okay?
Okay, thank
All
you
right.
so much.
No
Appreciate
problem.
that.
Mhm.
Okay, keeping an eye out for any additional questions that are coming in. So I think that's all the questions that we have, a little bit of time to spare. Again, I look forward to York Fest, a full season of Revs baseball. Join me on Friday, send me some good energy so I do well in the bubble wrap competition. We certainly look forward to supporting the African American Museum during its development. We thank you, Jackie, again for sharing that information with us. Jean Dragonowski, and to Traditions Bank again for always supporting this event, Downtown Inc. and the Downtown Update. We just appreciate your partnership so much. And everyone, please keep buying local and supporting our local businesses. And I look forward to seeing all of you around downtown New York City. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a great week. Take care.